Hey guys, this is Millie Weaver, or some of you know me as Millennial Millie. So this is going to be my first AMA, and I will be doing an AMA every month. Now, if you want to be able to ask me questions for the AMAs, go ahead and become a subscriber on Subscribestar, and you will be able to private message with me, and that is when I will be asking people for questions and taking questions, and I will write them down, which I've done right now, and make these videos. So our first question is from Tyler R. How do you deal with everyone thinking that you think one way and trying to convince others that you're a free thinker? Well, I don't know if everyone thinks I think one way, but I guess a lot of liberals might think I fall into your classic conservative Republican box. But I know that I'm a free thinker because I have many beliefs and views that wouldn't be considered conservative or Republican. They would actually be more liberal, or even some of the liberals might not even like it. I tend to think for myself, and I guess one of those examples would be with medical marijuana. I know that's not something that most conservatives or Republicans might agree with. I do think that it's a good thing because, I've seen people have cancer and do well on it, or children with epilepsy, and there's many medicinal things there. And when you look behind, okay, the pharmaceutical industry is the one profiting by marijuana being illegal, then you go, okay. I tend to investigate and research things out, and I would say most of my thoughts are pretty, I would say, free thinking. They're not typically falling into a certain box. So thank you, Tyler. John says, if you could tell us something about Alex that would shock us, what would it be? Also, what's your dream job career you are chasing? Okay, I will go with the first question first. Shocking about Alex Jones. Well, I think everything's shocking about Alex Jones. I mean, he is an incredible person to be around. But I guess one little fun tidbit is that he actually sends voice recordings over text that expire after like a minute or two. So it almost reminds me of Charlie's Angels when, Charlie would send these self-destructing messages. So like me and Caitlin will be getting these little rah 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 Alex Jones blah blah blah, just sending a message talking to us, and then it self-destructs in our phone. So I think that's funny. If you're Alex Jones, are you really gonna sit there and slowly text out a text to someone, or are you just going to hit record and talk to him and send a self-destructing message? So there's a little neat thing about Alex right there for you guys. Another thing, what's your dream job career you're chasing? I don't really think I'm chasing any particular dream job or career. For me, my dream job would just be to be a mom and get to be a stay-at-home mom for my kids. That's what I would love to do. But the reality is that we have to fight what's happening in our country right now. Otherwise, our kids aren't going to have a future. So a large reason and motivating factor in the work that I do and why I dedicate so much of my time and my life to this job is for our children's future. Yeah, not just my children's future, but for everyone's children's future. Because if we let this monster of these socialist, communist, crazy, lunatic liberals try to take over our way of living in America, we might not have America, we might not have a First Amendment, we might not have the rights that we hold and value today. So if it were my dream world, our government would be perfectly great. We wouldn't have a lying fake news. We wouldn't have these horrible, crazy, deranged liberals trying to implement communism and socialism. America, everyone would see it as it is, a great country to be in, and we'd have prosperity, and I would just be able to be focusing full-time on my children. That would make me happy. But that's not the world we live in, so I'm going to fight it until it's no longer a threat. Christopher H. asks, Trump won the presidency with less votes than Romney had when he lost. You're on the ground a lot in the Rust Belt states where I live. Do you think Trump can really hold on to them in 2020? My real question is, how much enthusiasm is there in the Rust Belt for the Dems, do you think? Well, from what I've seen a tremendous turnout at Trump's rallies. Virtually every rally I've been to, doesn't matter what state, he has a tremendous amount of people that show up to his rallies. I've also noticed, however, that there does seem to be a lot of reoccurring fans at the rallies, and I don't know how many. I just know I recognize some of their faces and some of the people that tend to be going, and they drive, they'll drive out of state. So I don't know how much of it is groupie fanfare and then how much of it is true to that district. And part of the thing is it fills up so fast with the super fans that maybe sometimes the people who just are investigating that might want to go to the rally, they don't even get in because it fills up so fast. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, what I see is a large turnout. I see a lot of people there. I'm not seeing as many Trump signs around, like just in people's lawns, but I'm pretty sure that won't come out until 2020 because there are election laws regarding that. And as far as the Democrats base, man, I did not see anyone turn out for Joe Biden's campaign kickoff in Pittsburgh. That was like ridiculous. He barely filled up a 240 occupancy building, and his overflow was like 15 people. And it could just be because you have the Democrats so spread out right now between all these different candidates, which they're doing that strategically right now. I have talked with Democrat strategists, off the record. They didn't know who I was or that I was a Republican when they were telling me. But it seems they're spreading themselves thin as a strategy right now, and it makes it harder for us to tell what we're up against. But what I will say is I think that all the Democrats and liberals that have this vehement hatred towards Trump and towards Republicans, it really doesn't matter if it were Trump or if it were some other Republican. They're all just going to vote against the Republican Party at the end of the day. I do think that that's what we're going to be up against. And the only way we're really going to be able to, win the only way Trump supporters are really going to be able to win is if they show up and they vote. Because people can show up to rallies all day and have fun and do all the fun stuff. But if people don't actually go out and vote, then that could be a problem. This question is from Joel G. He says, of your many encounters with people at rallies or wherever, which one was the most scary and made you the most fearful? That's a hard one because I have been in some pretty fearful situations. I still think by far Charlottesville. When I went to Charlottesville, that was the scariest situation because that's when the police were standing down and not doing their jobs, despite watching people being beaten and pepper sprayed and tased and just violently attacked. The police were standing down. So when you don't have the law and order going on in the country, it's a scary thing. And my camera guy got pepper sprayed directly in the face, and he was blind for like 30 minutes. So while the police were trying to shove everyone back into the Antifa, and the only reason we were even standing on the right side area was because my cameraman had just been pepper sprayed in the face by an Antifa while we were over there interviewing people on the anti-Trump protester side. He got pepper sprayed directly in the face. So that's why we went over to the medic tent on the people on the right's side, is because they were offering medic right there as the closest one, and we knew that there was going to be people that might help. And it was just horrible. So I've got my blinded camera guy, and we're trying to make our way through all this fighting, and then we're over by the medic area, and then We're trying to figure out a way to go back away from, towards where the police are, away from all the violence. And then the police said, no, you actually have to march through the violence. Otherwise, we're going to arrest you. So at that point, it's like, okay, so do we get arrested or do we have to walk through the violence? So we chose to walk through the violence, and that was really scary. There were a lot of people that were beaten, hurt. I know that there were people on the extreme right who have horrible points of view, racist, bad ideologies, and I made it clear at the time I didn't agree with them, but I think they have a right to free speech. Just as on the left, there were Antifa, violent, horrible people there. They were attacking people. They had water balloons full of urine and feces and chemicals. And I said, you have a right to free speech too. But none of them had the right to be violent. Okay, and that was the issue. None of them had the right to be violent. And there were a lot of innocent people, journalists, that were attacked. Next question from Morris93. What is your stance on the Second Amendment, and how do you feel about California passing the new law requiring you to pass a background check to buy ammo? I completely support the Second Amendment. It is in the Constitution for a reason. Just like free speech is in the Constitution for a reason. Okay, all these people who want to talk about, oh, well, not hate speech. It's like they just keep pushing the Overton window. Oh, well, maybe we could just police hate speech, or oh, maybe we can just make it so you have to have background checks for ammo and make having a gun and getting ammo extremely hard and take away a bunch of people's rights in the process. I don't agree with taking away people's rights because someone out there wanted to be a bad person and hurt someone or say something mean. I completely support the Second Amendment. I don't think that we should have these red flag laws either, because I don't think that they will work. I think the only thing that's actually going to work is good people with guns. Just recently in Missouri, there was a firefighter who he actually stopped a potential mass shooter. The guy came into Walmart in full gear, armor, body armor and all, just like the other shooter did, the Dayton shooter, with a gun with 100 rounds of ammo, and he was held at gunpoint by a firefighter. Okay? So we need more good people with guns. That will fix it. If more Americans start carrying, it'll deter some of these shooters. So that's my opinion on that. And I don't think that a red flag law is actually going to catch people that might become mass shooters. Not everyone that becomes mass shooter is mentally ill. A lot of them are just evil human beings. Next question is from Proud Patriot USA. What would your strategy be to fight big tech? So I've thought a lot about this big tech issue because myself and many other conservatives, we've been being affected the most. Alex Jones especially. I mean, we have been hit hard by big tech censorship because most of them are all a bunch of liberal, crazy people in Silicon Valley that hate people with conservative ideologies. You know, I think we should have some kind of an internet bill of rights. I think that would be a great thing. Just to outline and put those rights out there for people. But at the same time, I think that we need to be careful about what types of regulations and government crackdowns we would have on these companies. Of course, you don't want monopolies. Of course, you don't want abuses. If any of these companies are aiding other foreign governments, engaging in treason, then they should definitely be investigated and held for whatever crimes they're committing. What I'm saying is, we don't want government to start going in and putting their hands all over who can and can't say what, or who can and can't have a social media network or company. Because while it may be fine and safe with that idea right now while Trump is president, could you imagine if the Democrats win and then we have both the Republicans and the Democrat agreeing that the government should be allowed to regulate the heck out of social media? That might be a bad thing. You know, we might have hate speech banning people and people having to use internet IDs. I mean, it could get ugly. So we do want an open free market. And I think that the best way to do that is actually for people to create startups and to try to rival and to compete with these people. Because at the end of the day, if these people are harvesting and selling off our personal private information, our data they're collecting, people are not going to want to be on those platforms. If they're going to start censoring people, they're not going to want to be on those platforms. So we need more people to learn code, basically. More people need to create their own social media platforms. This next question is from Vahe, or Vahe. Not sure how to pronounce it, so I apologize. Do you find it fair that all the people at the summit were acting like a fool, like they all were Alex's or InfoWars' biggest fans, yet most don't dare to even mention his name on their platforms and share in his crucifixion even now? I'm sure Alex would support them all one by one if they did. What I will say is a lot of people have been afraid to vocally support InfoWars or to share InfoWars content a bunch on their social media platforms because of the censorship crackdown. When these social media companies put those rules out there and say, if you do this, we're going to ban you, people get scared. They don't want to be banned. They don't want their voice to be silenced. And Alex Jones, actually, I know he's reached out to me. He's reached out to a lot of people. And he's actually urged people to be careful and to not overly be talking about him or sharing his content in some ways, because he doesn't want all these people who have big audiences and the power to make a difference and get messages out to be silenced and to be banned. Because at the end of the day, Alex has said this many times, it is about the end goal. It is about fighting the globalists and fighting these new world order tyrants that want to destroy America. And he knows that. And I know that Alex actually has kind of told me, hey, you don't have to use the InfoWars mic flag, it might get you banned. I don't want you to get banned, Millie. But I kind of stubbornly have been like, oh no, I'm going to keep pushing it. I don't want them to win. I'm keeping on with the mic flag, which has been a good thing, because it's like, I'm not going to bend a knee to you. But at the same time, what happens if I get banned before the 2020 election coverage, and then all that content that I could have put out to reach my 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, it never happens. All the people I could have reached with that message, they won't get to see that message. They won't get to see the real, true rally sizes. And many people are afraid that we might have some election stealing, election rigging. The Democrats might try to steal it. So going out and documenting that true evidence is going to be very important. So I can keep pushing it and stubbornly, repping the InfoWars flag at the risk of them going, oh, tisk, tisk, you're banned now just because of that. Or I could just decide to not use a mic flag or use a Millennial Millie mic flag or something else and continue to get that content out. And if anything, I've always been the one like, no, Alex, I'm going to keep pushing it. But he wants me to make sure that I can continue to getting content out and not get banned because of something silly. So I'd say, we don't need infighting right now. We just need everyone working together as a team. And I know it sucks. I know it's really a demotivating thing for people to see that it looks like InfoWars is losing this fight. But the bottom line is the way we can continue, and if you really want to help InfoWars, we need you to directly support us. Go to our website and watch Alex Jones directly. You can watch his show on Infowars.com. You can watch the War Room, the David Knight Show. You can watch all of that on Infowars, and you can directly get to our content and our videos that we also upload on our other private video servers and put up that YouTube doesn't even have. So if you really want to help InfoWars, you can directly support us and go to our store and buy our products and make sure InfoWars stays alive. We don't want to see InfoWars die. No one does. And it's not going to. And we're just being strategic right now. And many of the voices out there on social media are also being strategic. So I wouldn't see it as that people are being rude or snubbing Alex, because you don't always necessarily know what conversations happen behind closed doors and behind the scene. So this concludes my AMA for August. So if you guys want to be part of my AMA, if you want to be able to ask me questions and have me respond in this video format, please go to Subscribestar and subscribe, and I will be sending out messages asking people for another AMA for September, and you can submit questions to me and I will respond. So I also respond in message with my subscribers anyway about other related things. But please go ahead and support me on Subscribestar, and also go to InfoWarsStore.com so we can continue to do our reporting and deliver truthful content to you. Thank you.
Hey, what happens if you try to order your favorite InfoWars Life product only to find out they're sold out? Yeah, I know it kind of sucks, but there is a solution. All you gotta do is go to InfoWarsStore.com and click on Auto Ship. Bam! Problem solved, just like that. And now you're scheduled for regular delivery. That means no more back orders, and you'll never run out of your favorite InfoWars Life products again. Pretty cool. But guess what? It gets better. When you sign up for Auto Ship at InfoWarsStore.com, you get an additional 10% off that product. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. So what are you waiting for? Support the InfoWar. Order and click on Auto Ship at InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.